And now all of us in the Frozen Crown fan base are on even footing. Because as of Victorious, well, we're almost there. I'm almost ready to say that I'm fully caught up. One more song to go. And as far as I'm concerned, in terms of this channel, a doorway is always open for future endeavors of Frozen Crown, because as many of you know, I've had a wonderful time introducing myself, and perhaps some of you in the process, to an incredibly talented Italian power metal group. Truly dynamic in the European metal scene, as I can't say it enough. That is where it's at right now in the metal world for me. It is so impressive being a big metalhead, and somebody that craves good art. I cannot speak highly enough of that area of the world, and many countries as well that I've also regarded in the past and other music endeavors, to be quite clear and, fair. But Europe is just a hot spot. I truly am enamored by this space, and all the new talents I've come across that I've taken in terms of first engagements with you, which has been the case of many of the European talents on my playlist for the most part, with very minor exceptions. But generally speaking, we've had a collaborative enjoyment period with their works and together. And I wouldn't ask for it to be any other way, quite frankly. I love the shared experience that music can provide. And as many of you know, and I've said this many times, it has been a long-standing ambition of mine to bring music into a grander focus on this channel alongside other entertainment ventures of what I founded this channel on in the beginning. Music, very much for me, is a first love in my life. It's had such a connection and pull with me over many years that sharing in that enjoyment with you, especially on part of entertaining maybe your recommendations, maybe groups I find in passing in terms of venturing out, maybe where are new talents headed, or familiar artists to me that maybe I'm introducing you to. It's one thing to listen to a track on your own, and I've had fun with that, but it's just not the same as enjoying the experience together. And though I can't see any of your faces personally, unless maybe it's like in your avatars or something, I've had plenty of correspondence in the comment sections, and I know how much music means to many of you as well. It truly is, I feel, I'm reluctant to use this word because it's so oftentimes overused in our world today, but it is a true, beautiful community builder. I love being able to take those ventures with you because I just love music, and as a fellowship agent, it truly is a wonderful tool. And I'm sure with Frozen Crown's fourth entry, on their fourth album, in fact, Call of the North, it won't be any different. This album is exquisite, by the way, in terms of their lineup. I have consulted presently 16 songs of theirs, 15 for now, going on 16, all of which I've loved. And if you haven't humored them before, maybe again this is a first introduction for you, you're going to like them, especially if you're into metal. They're going to gel. If you like good artistry and atmosphere in your music, they've got a killer offering they've had with this entire album. Coming off of the last track we listened to, Black Heart, as well as the preceding two, the title track from the album, and Fire in the Sky. Is that the name of it? Yes. All three are wonderful. This album, I feel, is a true evolution from where they've been before. Some of you had acknowledged in the comment sections. You figured I'd like this, and I 100% do. It's exquisite, in my opinion, that Victorious should be, I'm sure, a wonderful addition. And again, for those of you, this is a first introduction. Maybe many of you are approaching again being longtime Frozen Crown fans, and there's a substantial body of you. I am very well knowledgeable on that. I knew that going in fact, and I'm honored to be in your ranks. But for some of you, this is probably going to be a first introduction. As I said, go back in their past library. You'll thank me. If you are into good talent, you're going to like Frozen Crown. And I imagine you're going to like this piece quite a bit. And maybe this will evolve into a long-standing favorite. This will be the trigger for you. And I hope it is the case with a lot of the music I consult. I look at a broad range, whether it be in geography of world placement where the artists are, or genre, name prominence. I do hope to elevate good art. And so much of it is in the music world. I can't speak fondly enough of how much that artistic language means to me. And if you're somebody who's looking for that type of pull in your life in terms of the groups that you want to humor but you don't know where to find them, I do hope that if I can manage this to provide access paths for you. And I feel with Frozen Crown, you're going to be really into this, I would imagine. Now, I can't set up enough just based on word, right? I have to pose maybe an example for you. You can't take everything on faith. You need at least some tantalizing first introduction. We're going to get that together. I'm going to go ahead and cue up Victorious, which has a visualizer to complement the video, the song we're about to listen to together for the first time. It's a pretty substantial song to about a 5-minute duration. Not bad. That's been the trait for most of the songs we've entertained on this album thus far. And if you're somebody that's not familiarized with how I format my coverage, I do try and accommodate listener taste to the best extent that I can. So if you'd like to read along with the message of the piece, which I'm sure will be great and very well written, I will have the lyrics available for you in the video feed, and those will pop up in a minute alongside the video, and you'll have that to accompany if you wish to read the message. If not, just sit back and with me, we can listen to a wonderful tune together and get a first impression for, I'm sure, a never, at this point, culminating track of what I've lined up for Frozen Crown. But as I said, a doorway is always open in the future. But a never great entry, I'm sure. Never wonderful, magnificent piece of art. Let's entertain it together.
I still remember the time I was a child, when all the secrets were still to find out. I try to seek the
good vocal presence, great mixture, softest opener on part of their releases. I'm interested to see if it floats around at all in energy. Okay, I like that. Natural, smooth strum, very welcoming. And Reggiata's vocals, isn't she just powerful for those who this is first introduction for? And blended with Federico. Wonderful. This is more of like a ballad fantasy number. I'm okay with that. I like variety. And with such exquisite scenery. Winter is my favorite season, so on picture as well, it's very tantalizing. Okay. I hear force kind of coming in, like a step pattern in a way. Nice pacing on the strum. Great twist. We still have about 3 minutes to go. Beautiful setup. Lovely. Almost video gaming, like in the realization. That's funny. Although I know it's not, but it's just exquisite, isn't it? I love these visualizers. And matched with this presentation, I'm so happy. Of course, another guitar pause. I welcome it. That's been the pattern in the past. And Federico is just incredibly talented in every creative endeavor I've heard thus far. I love how sustained those vibrations are in the song. Just let her voice be front and center. especially with that hold. Still got about 30 seconds to enjoy this. Soak in every tone. And that's closure. What a wonderful outro track to close our present time with this group. Just, again, beautiful selection. I love these 4 pieces. This album just stands out in my mind. It is wonderful. Everything, as always, with these pieces are clicking for me. Truly, as like I said, again, the evolution of these albums thus far has really impressed me. The trajectory of where Frozen Crown is going. The way it began with this piece, I mean, again, I was like, we've had free tracks thus far, and groups play around in sound, and they've done a couple songs with a bit of a softer tonality, though all the pieces we've consulted have all been founded on that power metal structure. But I'm like, okay, if we do a ballad number, I'll forgive it. I keep an open door open in terms of multi-genres, as I often say, and when it comes to metal, there is subjective preference, right? Broad range people for a bit of a softer tonality. Others are in, like me, the headbang type stuff, and that's been the mainstay on this album thus far for the first 3 tracks. That differentiating that with a softer number, it's kind of smooth, it's very much sets in like this whimsical winter scene, and what beautiful visualizers too. Again, winter is my favorite season. And this was just like snow's falling everywhere, beautiful visual shots of wherever this is in Europe, and I would love to visit. And attend a Frozen Crown concert. That'd be great. Unless they came to America. That would be... Although most of these groups have not made it overseas yet, and I'm waiting. Oh man, I like this piece a lot. So it starts out, it's softer, and it's more so you have this independent guitar strumming from Federico and Giada's vocals with some overlap, right? And then, what was it, like 2 minutes in? I think around 2 minutes. You started off, you're like, okay, it's soft, let's let it carry through, right? Very breeze-like, and then suddenly this riff comes in. And you can start to again hear that build, but it's still so subtle, right? It's in the background. I love like that marching pattern, like almost like a thunderclap or something. And then instantly, there go the riffs. And you're like, okay, we're back to a rough mainstay. It's wonderful. See, there's a place for, as many people know, the phrasing subversion of expectations. And it's seen rather in a negative connotation, especially in the cinema space. There's subversion done well. A subversion of expectations done well. That is in the European landscape. And this song, perfect example. You think you have a baseline of the understanding of a song going in, the identity of it, and then suddenly, curveball, we're back to that rough edge again. That's great. I mean, again, what would you expect from Frozen Crown, though? That is their mainstay. I mean, it's quite successful. Again, like I said, that riff pattern, Giada's vocals, the vibrations, her range, incredible to listen to. The vocal overlap on part of Federico. Everything with this piece, as I said, clicks. And it's just so easy to be moved by. The pattern of it. Wonderful idea to put in that twist. Again, I like change up. I like a fresh energy. And that song is great, actually. I love the pattern of it. I always look for those distinctive traits in the music that I examine, especially from work to work along the same artists in regard and concentration. And for me, it's the structure that really brings me in. Again, that twist. What a curveball. But they nailed it. 2 minutes in, you're like, okay, this is the baseline, right? Whimsical, soft, winter breeze-like tune, then we're off to the races. Much like we've been with the first 3 tracks. And all 3 have been, again, an excellent debut and are setting up a killer album. Which, as I said, I'm trying to be fair and consulting a good range because I do try and be democratic. It's not often that I do full-length album reactions. I do try to space it out. Sometimes, on occasion, I have when I truly feel compelled to do one. And other times I try and be very democratic. So I try to give an even pace, right, to all the music I consult. Now, with Frozen Crown, as I said earlier, I did take a bit of a different strategy when I started, right? I began with their sophomore album. Then I'm like, I want to spend as much time with them as possible. So at first it was only going to be about 12 tracks. And then I'm like, nah, let's make it 16. So I dug back into the earlier album with The Fallen King. And I'm glad I did. We've had a lot of time to spend together with this group. And perhaps I've been able to give you, through enjoying them with you, an added admiration of talent. And again, a point of engagement that maybe you didn't know at Frozen Crown. And maybe you approached my channel for another group, right? And I hope this is the case, that perhaps one might feed into the other, because there are many groups that I'm sure would love your attention and devotion. And Frozen Crown, as I said, 100% deserves their fan base, and I'm honored to be a part of it. It's really wonderful to entertain their work. So maybe while I'm not necessarily perusing every track in full on this channel, but I've given you a good selection, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the experience. And I recommend you take it too. I'm going to do that with all 4 of their albums, including the rest of Call of the North. But from the tracks we entertained, the 4 out of 10, it's an exquisite collection. And a great tease to, I'm sure, a beautiful album. And in terms of this release, we didn't have tracks in conjunction to one another on previous releases. Those were split apart amongst the album's placement. So we've heard the first 4 entries, and I'm sure the last remaining 6 will be just as exquisite. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this particular piece down below. If you do wish to disclose your perspective and your angle, right? Long-time Frozen Crown fan, first entry. I imagine if your first entry, you're like, I gotta hear more. And you'll like the experience, take it on faith from me. And if that song's any testament, you're going to love them, especially this album. This album is dope as a release. It's perfect. Nailed this one thus far. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And as far as I said going forward, doorway, always open. This is just another testament as to why. Victorious is a triumphant piece, like everything, with Frozen Crown. And I've had a wonderful time enjoying them with you and getting a footing for an understanding for their music. Of course, as I said, in the future, the opportunity arises, I'm game. And in the meantime, plenty more European talents to consult. Again, from your wide list of names, and number ones that I've promised. But I figured I'd catch up. And I've been eager, to catch up with Frozen Crown. I've been waiting. As I've said many times, I pre-buy all the music that I cover. And so these have been sitting on my phone for a little while. And I look for opportunities to be able to give you my thoughts on them. I'm waiting on half of these scripts. I'm like, I need to be able to, listen to some of these pieces so I can actually listen to them for myself. I keep waiting. I've got a long register, as I said, materializing. And with Frozen Crown now, I'm free to listen to every one of their pieces. So by the time I get to their maybe next album or next piece, maybe there'll be another song that gets onto this album. And maybe I'll wait for a little bit intentionally to see if there's another piece. Although 4 music videos is sort of their normality, I'll be game. And by the time maybe another track comes up, I will have an even more extensive knowledge. Maybe many of you will as well. And I'm sure we'll be on even footing going forward with Frozen Crown. I can't wait to hear more of their stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy to stumble upon yet another very talented European metal group, which is always the norm for that area of the world. And Frozen Crown has been a real treat. I knew they would be, and I have not been discounted in any way from my belief in saying that they are truly a triumphant talent in the European metal scene, and even more specifically, Italian metal. That country specifically, their offerings, I can't wait to hear more. Maybe experiment around with other groups, because I'm very impressed with what I'm hearing thus far. I'm part of 2 groups thus far. Maybe a third incoming of Be the Wolf. Again, that connection point with Federico Mondelli and operating off of Volturian. I've been very happy thus far. I can't wait to hear more, especially from Frozen Crown. Especially from this group. I would love to hear more of their music whenever that opportunity arises. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.